Revelation 16:18. Star. BD number 7421. October 3, 1959. A violent quake will shake the earth. Spiritually as well as physically, the earth will be faced by a tremor the likes of which will never before have been experienced by people since the start of this epoch. But this is predicted because it is the beginning of the end that will follow not long afterwards. There is not much time left, and your attention will ever more urgently be drawn to it, because you should still make use of every day by helping your soul to mature, for time flies and you are approaching the very end with giant strides. And then a long night for all those who did not take advantage of the day in order to work for the salvation of the soul will follow. For only a few will survive this last end and be allowed to occupy the new earth, only a few will stand firm in the last battle on this earth. The signs of the end will be presented to you humans time and again, and the last powerful sign will be the great quake. You have already been told how it will come about. A star will leave its orbit and with gigantic speed head for the earth. And the fact that you are still uninformed of it is due to the great distance this star will still have to cover before it comes into the field of view of those who will detect it. But then the anxiety will be great, for everyone will realize the danger in which the planet, Earth, is in, but no one will be able to do anything in order to ward off the danger. And now that you know of it, you should make especially good use of this last brief period of time, for none of you know whether you will survive the event, none of you know which part of the earth will be particularly affected, and no one should count on being spared, for it is God's last great wake-up call before the end which he will resound in order to find belief in this very end and still convert a few who are not yet entirely enslaved by the adversary. Do not consider these predictions lightly, do not let yourselves be misled by the apparent work of progress which you can observe in the world, but understand that the shadows of destruction are already emerging, that not much time will elapse until you receive knowledge of the approaching disaster in the form of a star which will be hurled from its orbit, because it is God's will that the earth shall be stricken by a tremor which shall and will be able to save people who are of good will. There will really not be a lack of signs of the near end, but this last sign will have enormous consequences and many people will lose their lives in the process. And no one will be able to turn a deaf ear, for it will be too powerful as not to affect all people. Only the results will differ, for people will either partly revive their weak faith and hand themselves over to God again, but partly even lose their weak faith as well and completely turn to the adversary, which will be expressed by an increased pursuit of material possessions, mostly by dishonest means. And there will be great hardship amongst people. And that is when the right strength of faith will prove itself, which will signify help for every person who faithfully entrusts himself to God. For he will help all those who want to be his own, who even in their greatest affliction remember the one who alone will be able to help them. And this will be the start of the time when real vineyard work must still be carried out in order to help all those who are still weak in spirit and who shall experience a strengthening of their faith. For it will be followed by the time of the last battle of faith, which will still require a final decision by the believers, yet anyone who perseveres until the end will become blessed. Amen.